Welcome to the Strength for the Day podcast, which is a daily Bible study with Dennis Fountain. We hope this time together will be challenging, sharpening, uplifting, encouraging, and strengthening to your Christian walk. Thank you for joining us, and we pray you are helped through today's study.
Well, welcome to yet another episode of Strength for the Day. And if you are a person who watches on Facebook, thank you for joining us. If you listen in Spotify or Apple or I don't know, maybe YouTube, wherever you're at, thank you for being a part of Strength for the Day. And we are currently going through our study in the book of Acts. We are coming down to the last chapter. Today we begin Acts chapter number 28, and we have 3 episodes left in the book of Acts. And then I haven't yet decided where we're going. I'm deciding between 1st and 2nd Thessalonians or going into the book of 1st Corinthians. So, if you have a preference, maybe drop me a text or a message on one of the streaming services that you're in, or podcast services or social media services. I don't know. Get a message to me if you have a preference, 1 Corinthians or 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. And there it is August, so if you live in Moses Lake, August is the land of flies in Moses Lake, and there are flies everywhere. So if you see me, if you're watching and you see me trying to swat a fly, hopefully I don't have to leave like I did a few weeks ago and just go kill one right in the middle of the episode. But anyway, we pick up today Acts chapter number 28, and the passage we're going to look at is Acts 28, verse 1 through 10, and the title of today's challenge is really simply this: in every place. In every place. Acts chapter 28 and verse number, all right, there is one fly. I don't know if you can see it, but it literally, those of you watching, it's like right by my head. We're going to do this anyway, okay? You just stay with me. All right, don't let me get distracted. You don't get distracted. I'll try not to get distracted. And if you just hear a really loud bang, those of you that aren't watching, you miss out. You miss out by not watching the videos. All right, Acts 28, verse number 1. Now, when they had escaped, all right, so who is this speaking of? Remember, Paul has been arrested. He is now being sent by ship to Rome, but that ship, the captain of the ship and the centurion Roman leader, Julius, on the ship, they disregarded Paul's message not to set sail. They set sail. Now they're shipwrecked, and they are shipwrecked now upon this island of Malta. So when they had escaped, they found out that the island was called Malta. So now we're shipwrecked on this island of Malta, and it says this: and the natives, Luke is writing, showed us unusual kindness, for they kindled a fire and made us all welcome because of the rain that was falling and because of the cold. But when Paul had gathered a bundle of sticks and had laid them on the fire, a viper came out because of the heat and fastened on his hand. So when the natives saw the creature hanging from his hand, they said one to another, "No doubt this man is a murderer, whom though he has escaped the sea, yet justice does not allow him to live." But he shook off the creature into the fire and suffered no harm. Miraculously, Paul is bitten by this viper and shows no signs of harm. Shakes it off, it goes in the fire, and it's gone. However, they were expecting that he would swell up or suddenly fall down dead. But after they had looked for a long time and saw no harm come to him, they changed their minds and said that he was a god. Okay, so their first accusation, wow, this man must be a murderer. They were right with that one, right? Paul was a murderer. Paul was one that was a wicked man. He said he was the chiefest of sinners before he trusted Christ. But then now they're saying he's a god. Well, they're wrong on this account, because he's not a god, but he knows God. And notice what happens in verse number 7. In that region, there was an estate of the leading citizen of the island, whose name was Publius, who received us and entertained us courteously for 3 days. And it happened that after the father of Publius lay sick of the fever and dysentery, Paul went into him and prayed, and he laid his hands on him and healed him. So when this was done, the rest of those on the island who had diseases also came and were healed. They also honored us in many ways, and when we departed, they provided such things as were necessary. So here's this shipwreck that takes place. All right, we're going to stop there for the sake of our staying on our next 3 days episodes, the timeline there. Excuse me, I could not think of that. The timeline and our plan. But here they are shipwrecked. Paul gets bit by a viper and he survives. So now they think he's a god, and then he performs miracles. And we need to know this, that Paul would have preached the gospel to them. All right, Paul would not have allowed this. You can go ahead and worship me. We know that Paul did not do that. He didn't allow that anytime, anywhere. And so, but here's what I want to see. I don't want to look at the viper. I don't want to look at the people. I want to look at Paul. And the reason I want to look at Paul is because I see Paul doing something that I don't think many of us would have done. And here's what I see. All right. So remember, they're shipwrecked. Paul has been one that has been not believed by this man Julius and others. And yet, what's the first thing we see Paul doing in this chapter? Well, in verse 3, he is the one gathering wood for the fire. In verse number 8, he's the one that's laying hands on this man who was sick and praying for him. In verse number 9, he's the one that is healing all of those with diseases. Now, all of these things would be to validate the message that he was preaching. But the principle that I look at, that I see in this passage, is in every place Paul went, Paul served the Lord by serving others. In every place he went, he served God by serving people. It was Paul who wrote that we should let the mind of Christ be in us. And what was that mind of Christ? It was the mind of a servant. Paul continuously, through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, challenges us with having God's heart to serve people. Now, here's why this is interesting to me. Because Paul is shipwrecked. He's been, they're all shipwrecked, but you go to this thing. I don't know if you've ever been stranded somewhere, but I know I've ran out of gas before. This isn't shipwrecked, but I've ran out of gas before. I've been car breakdown, and you're broke down for a little bit of time before you have that take place. The last thing on my mind is, I wonder how I could serve the people around me. I wonder how I could go ahead and help those that are in this area. Here's my car broke down in this parking lot. I'm waiting for someone to come get me. I wonder how I could help that person load their groceries. I wonder how, and again, I'm just kind of giving you a little insight onto maybe my thinking, but the first thing in my mind isn't, I wonder how I could serve when I'm hurting. The first thing in my mind is, how could I find comfort in my time of hurt? But what I see Paul doing in this passage is I see Paul demonstrating the mind of Jesus. What was his mind? The mind of a servant. Hey, I'll go ahead and gather wood. Hey, I'll go ahead and go pray with you. Hey, I'll go help. I'll show this sign gift, and Paul doing that healing, and bring people to me that I can encourage, that I can demonstrate the power of God to. Yes, I'll preach the message to you. Paul never took a day off from being a follower of God. If you were at our church this last Sunday, we talked about how our life can sometimes be out of balance and that we should have days off from work and days off from our responsibilities. But can I tell you that every Christian, we don't take a day off from being a Christian. We don't take a day off from being a follower of God. And one of the best ways to demonstrate our faith and our heart and our walk with God to people is by being a person that serves everywhere we go. And so I want to ask you today, when you look at your life and you look at maybe your testimony, could someone accuse you of serving in every place, every day being a servant, every day laying down your own pride and picking up this character trait of humility with the purpose of serving others? What a great challenge that is. As we go to work today, as we are around our family today, as we go to church this week, as we have, of course, for our church family tonight, we start our Midweek Connect back up, and we see diving into a brand new series by Louis Giglio called Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table, and winning the power over temptation and the power over our mind. Listen, tonight is a great time to come in and not have the mindset of serve me, but have the mindset of I'm here to serve somebody. What if every believer came to church every Sunday with a mindset, I'm not here just to be ministered unto. I'm going to hear from God today. I'm going to receive something today, but I'm here to serve today. What would your work look like if you approached work every day? I'm not just here for a paycheck. I'm here to serve others like Jesus would. How about your marriage? How about your spouse? How about your kids and grandkids? What would change in your life if you and what would change if we had the approach of Paul in this? I'm going to serve in every place. May God help us this week. May God help us today to just be a servant in every place we go, serving those around us. I hope that would challenge you today, and I look forward to picking up tomorrow in verse number 11, down through verse number 31. I'm going to finish out Acts 28, and then for our last episode in the book of Acts, we're actually going to look at some of Paul's letters that he wrote during this time of being in prison, and I think that'll be a help to us. We'll do it briefly on our, not tomorrow's episode, but the next day. So tomorrow, join us again, Acts 28, verse 11 down through verse 31. We'll see you then. Have a good day.